Them gains, extreme. Shit we see, extreme. You wanna know about corruption? Well, listen to what I see. An algorithmic money making, taking, flipping fucking scheme. And if you let it, you'll get it. It'll gut you till you bleed. A lot of y'all get fucked by the bucket, yet you think it's free. Yeah, it's me. We are team extreme.
What's up, y'all? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck, and this is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Monday, December 26th, 2022, and this is my AMC, GME, and SPY weekly update and preparation video for tomorrow and beyond. As always, I hope y'all had a great end of the week in the market. More importantly, I hope you made some extreme gains for yourselves. I'm going to go over all my regulars, my snake algo method for all three tickers, some macro comparatives, and some side-by-side projections from last Sunday's weekly update and prep video, and the fulfillment of those projections with all of last week's price action. So with all of that said, let's dig in. I hope y'all are enjoying your extended holiday weekend. Merry Christmas to everybody. Moving on to the charts here. Currently on your screen is AMC and my current intro week snake. AMC finished the day on Friday as projected, down 10.39% in regular trading hours, and then down an additional 1.59% in after hours, ending the week trading at 433. The current intra-week snake on your screen in red is the day prior to the previous divergence from and completion of fulfillment of the previous intra-week snake that you see on the screen in blue behind it. This current intra-week snake has been fulfilling its projection for 7 whole consecutive weeks now, and last week was no different. You can see we continued to fulfill its projection dead on. Here's the side-by-side from last Sunday's weekly update and prep video. The location of price action within it, the projection from it, and like I said, the continued dead-on fulfillment of it with all of last week's price action. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. From a technical perspective, the levels that I am looking at going into this week, I'll be looking at the 430 price level to act as support. However, a breach of that to the downside, the next level down I'll be looking at will be 355. A support bounce off of the 430 back upside, I'll be looking at the 503, followed by the 547 as potential significant levels of resistance. The macro comparative for AMC. As most, if not all of you know, I have been tracking this blue macro double bottom from prior to the January 2021 run-up. Price action has consistently fulfilled this thing throughout all of this year. Most recently, we failed to continue to fulfill the projection in that upside manner. However, I did look at this as potentially being fulfilled in a downside inverted mirrored way and manner from that upside projection. If that were the case, the OG position of this macro comparative that it's in now would potentially still be valid, but only if price action were to continue to fulfill the intra-week snake up here to this convergence point and then pick up fulfilling the macro comparative in that position moving forward. So I'm tracking that scenario as scenario 1, and then scenario 2 would be taking the macro comparative and horizontally compressing it to where the double top that it was projecting here was actually fulfilled right here with real price action. And if that were the case, I'll show you a quick shift of it and not the actual compression, but here's the shift of it to where the two tops align, and you can see that it essentially projects the exact same thing that the intra-week snake is projecting. The offset between the two of them would align with the actual compression of the macro comparative. So that's why I've left it right here. These are essentially the two macro scenarios that I am potentially looking at happening moving forward, and what I am tracking in regards to AMC and this specific macro comparative moving into tomorrow and beyond. And that is everything that I am looking at with AMC. Up next is GME. GME finished the day on Friday. Regular trading hours up 1.36%, and then up an additional 0.7% in after hours, ending the week trading at 2022. The current intra-week snakes are on your screen. Blue, the day of the previous divergence from and completion of fulfillment of the previous intra-week snake. Red, the day prior to. The red day prior to is in its mirrored position right now for that potential mirrored and nuanced projection and subsequent fulfillment away from the day of divergence as you see it there, and as previously discussed and explained in the previous in the previous update and prep videos. This intra-week snake, or both of these intra-week snakes, in one way or the other, have been fulfilling their projection for 4 consecutive weeks now. You can see that price action has taken to that red day prior to inverted mirrored projection away from the continued projection and subsequent fulfillment of the day of divergence for the time being there as it was placed and projecting moving into last week. Here's the side-by-side from last Sunday's weekly update and prep video. The location of price action within it, the 2 projections from them, and the continued dead-on fulfillment of the day prior to as it was projecting right here as of last Sunday. You can see the continued fulfillment of it there and what the projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill either one of them. Now, there is a convergence point coming up here in the future. What looks to be the end of this week, possibly the beginning of next week between the 2 of them, where we could possibly see then a continued fulfillment of the day of divergence and or a continued fulfillment of the day prior to. In the event that that happens and we get that convergence there of the 2 intra-week snakes projecting and our current price action, the significant levels that I will be looking at from a technical perspective will be the 1948 critical level to downside. If that were to breach, the next level down I'll be looking at will be the 1805. However, a support bounce off of it or a continuation of this support bounce back upside, and the next level up I'll be looking at will be the 2170 to upside. And that is everything that I am looking at with GME. Last but not least is SPY. SPY finished today on Friday, regular trading hours, up 0.58% and then up an additional 0.03% in after hours, ending the week trading at 383.02. The current intra-week snake that I have been tracking with SPY, I was tracking a set of 3. I have essentially invalidated the red and the blue, and I am tracking this orange. This was the day prior to the previous divergence and completion of fulfillment of the previous intra-week snake, and this is the alternate position of it that I discussed in last week's update and prep videos. Let me go ahead and rewind a little bit here just in case you forgot. This way I can refresh that with you. This was the OG position of it that price action has consistently and consecutively fulfilled the projection for 7 weeks. At the beginning of last week, price action did not continue downside in the manner that it was projecting. However, once we were able to identify that structure, it is very apparent that the structure that was fulfilled up here was the structure that was being projected down here. So I thought that this could potentially become one of 2 scenarios. Either the first scenario, this needs vertically compressed to encompass those movements and pulled up here in this manner. And if that were the case, which I did last week, we continued to get dead on fulfillment of it throughout all of last week. And if that were the case, you can see what the projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond as a subsection under this scenario. Now, I did look at this as potentially, and I just did this today with the little bit of time that I had to chart here, as could it be possible that this upside movement here was a mirrored fulfillment of that downside projection? And if it was, then this would need to be viewed in the mirrored position as well. And if that were the case, you can see the fulfillment of it in the mirrored position, the continued fulfillment of it in that consolidative manner there at the end of last week, and you can see what the opposite mirrored projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond. And or, more specifically, or, if this was all wrong, and if that price action last week was to be deemed the divergence from the continued fulfillment of this fulfilling intra-week snake after 6 weeks of fulfillment, then a new set of intra-week snakes would need to be clipped. I have done that. I did that last week. I've been tracking them with the premium Discord, and I'm going to show them to you for the first time right now. But before I do that, I need and want to explain initial placement to you. And I'm going to use the red day prior to as the example here. Initial placement when doing this portion of my snake algo method is very hard to get a specific dead-on position of it. If it happens, it's by chance without seeing an actual macro structure to identify where to place these things. And here's what I mean by that. These clips have the ability to be manipulated in a horizontal and a vertical manner. Now, I can put this on here. I can go ahead and look at this macro structure. I can put this in its straight up position, and I can pull this over here, and I can compress this in to a candle for candle overlap placement. And in that placement, you can see that it is essentially replicating candle for candle fulfillment through its overlap and all of last week's fulfillment as well. Likewise, I can horizontally extend this from left to right and move this over, and it would still be valid in that position, and it changes the scope, meaning the time of fulfillment. Now, it does not change the overall macro structure at all, but it changes the time of fulfillment, the linear time of fulfillment before these breakdowns and or breakouts, dependent upon the fractal or the structure of the fractal. So it does change that. That's what I mean by initial placement is tough. So in the event that this does need to be extended throughout its fulfillment as the structure becomes more defined, then that's what I do throughout this. And I know there's a lot of newcomers here that probably don't understand that or maybe haven't up until this point. So I did want to give you that little bit of insight when it comes to the methodology behind the initial placement of these. So with that all being said, I am going to start out in the most conservative way with these potential new intra-week snakes. So here is the day prior to in its straight up position in that candle for candle overlapped positioning. You can see the consistent continued fulfillment of it, the location of price action within it, and what the projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Here's the mirrored position of it. Likewise, the consecutive continued fulfillment of it, the position within it, and the projection from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in the mirrored position. This is the most conservative position of this intra-week snake that I can start with. Obviously, if the structure continues to consolidate and build out in this consolidative manner prior to the breakout or the breakdown, dependent upon the time of fulfillment, I may need to horizontally extend this as I go, if this becomes the intra-week snake that price action subsequently fulfills. Then the day of divergence intra-week snake. This can only be placed in one way as far as its horizontal placement. And here is that placement as of right now. Here's the straight up position of it, the continued overlapped and all of last week fulfillment of that, and what the projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Likewise, here is the mirrored position of it, showing that initial move up as a mirrored position away from that downside fulfillment, and now the potential mirrored fulfillment of it and the position within it and what the projection would be from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond in that mirrored position. This is a really shitty spot to be in from this methodology because, again, it's a little bit of a state of limbo until I'm able to definitively define the structure that we are in for confirmed placement, or at least what I feel convicted as confirmed placement for hopefully accurate projection moving forward. Then from a technical perspective, we have a possible double bottom formation fulfilling down here. So likewise to all of the previous double bottom formations, I will be looking at the lower neckline to upside first, then the upper macro neckline for my confirmation for continued upside fulfillment. So lower neckline will be my indication level, upper neckline will be my confirmation level to upside. The lower neckline indication level that I am looking at will be the 385.50. Upper neckline confirmation level will be 388. Then if it breaches 388 to upside, the next level up that I'll be looking at will be along this potential third here at 392.75. Back downside, I'll be looking at the 380 price level as potential significant support. Then next in line will be the macro ascending level of support. And if it were to happen tomorrow, around the 378 price level. And that is everything from those perspectives on SPY. Last but not least for SPY on Sundays, typically this is Monday, but Sunday's weekly update and prep, and Thursday's update and prep, I like to look at the 0809 macro comparative on our current SPY, and I use this on the SPX, and I have been tracking this in both the straight up and the mirrored positions for obvious reasons. Here's the straight up positioning of it and the obvious projection from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. I've been talking about this since we were up here. This would obviously take that volatile direct move to the downside to converge back with that macro comparative in that position for the continued fulfillment of it. And we have since essentially done that to this extent to where our price action currently is. Likewise, in the mirrored position, in the event that what has been setting up here is a macro double scenario, and we get a neckline breach of that back upside for a potential translation to a macro reversal, I have been viewing this macro comparative in its mirrored position as well. And in that mirrored position, there's where we're at. You can see the obvious fractal mirroring and where price action is located and what the obvious projection from it would be moving into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. I know there's a whole bunch of information there that you may or may not understand. Hopefully more of you do than don't, but I needed to give you that little bit of insight as far as the initial placement on the intra-week snakes, and I hope that makes sense from that methodology perspective with the macro structures. Other than that, that is everything that I have for this video and everything that I have that I am personally looking at and tracking for AMC, GME, and SPY moving into tomorrow and beyond. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you all very much. Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. The schedule for this week for me as far as the YouTube and Twitch channels are going to be a little bit different. There will be no Tuesday update and prep video, obviously. So the next thing I will do here on the YouTube channel and on the Twitch channel is I will be live here on Wednesday all day long from market open until market close, actually from 9 a.m. Eastern until market close, a little bit before market open here on the YouTube channel and on the Twitch channel. And then I will get an update and prep video out on Thursday like always. So Wednesday live stream, Thursday daily update and prep video. So mark that down. Don't forget about the live stream on Wednesday. I hope to see you all there. Good luck in the markets tomorrow. Make some extreme gains for yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend here, and I will talk to you all on the next one. Later, Gators.